inside you. You know my name. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, September 15th, in year 2021. I'm going to give everybody a moment to realize that I am live for this morning's installment of the LT&A Chatter Project. You know, as we were raised, when you enter the room, say hello. And if you're catching this by the replay, hashtag replay. I want to acknowledge all those who have spent a little time with me today. And just drop in a comment box what resonated with you. If I touched on a topic that spoke to you or you want me to delve a little more into, send me a DM or you can send me an email. My email is in the description. That would be greatly appreciated as well. So, I am live on Instagram at the LT&A Consulting Group LLC, on my YouTube channel at the LT&A Contractors Chatter, and on Facebook on my personal page at Luciana Turner, and on my company page at the LT&A Company. Bringing you this morning's edition of the LT&A Chatter Project. The Chatter Project was designed to be an up-level conversation around government contracting, bringing you news and information around appropriations, legislation, and those things in trainings required to bring you information to develop strategies around government contracting. Excuse me, I'm a little tired today. I am Luciana Turner. I am your host for the Chatter Project. I am looking in two different directions because I have my camera set up in two different places. So I will get started this morning with a resource for my business community. The fpds.gov. It's a repository for government invoices, receipts, acceptance, and property transfers. This information is important to government contractors because you can find historical data there. You can use this data to see how much the government has spent on appropriations. You can do some research surrounding how much government has spent on certain initiatives. Now, this is not for you to do a copy and paste. Your costs are your costs. However, it will let you know how far you are off from current government spend. Now, we do understand that there will be adjustments for inflation because the last time the government numbers reported were 5 years ago, and as we know, inflation index has increased steadily at, I believe it's 3% per year. There's going to be an inflation adjustment when it comes to labor and materials. However, it is a good place to start doing that historical research so that you can know somewhat what numbers the government are looking for when it comes to spending. Currently, before House and Congress and Senate is the current FY22 budget. I really believe it's going to pass, even though there appears to be some dissension and opposition. I believe the last time I heard it was a $2.9 billion package. There is concern around how we're going to pay for this. Rightfully so. Now, this is not a political platform, but we must keep things in perspective. That is a very large and a very aggressive spending bill. Now, as we know, we have not had a full out budget since President Obama first term in office, quite frankly. What the government has been running off of continuing resolutions for the last 12, 15 years. This year, we seem on track to go back to what we should have never left, and that's passing a budget. Now, the president submits a budget in May to Congress for the Congress to beat it around, make a changes and adjustments, then to send it to Senate for approval. Then the Senate kicks back what it does. If it doesn't approve what Congress does, which it very rarely does, then it sends their version of the budget back to Congress for a reconciliation between the two versions to come out. Then they negotiate the two versions of the budget. So oftentimes what the president submits and what gets approved is not the same thing. However, what the president typically submits is pretty close to what the final budget or for the next fiscal year looks like. As we know, October 1st starts the fiscal year. So we are currently 15 days away from the next fiscal spending year. So as I said, I do believe we are going to have a budget. I believe they're going to burn some midnight oil. There will be some deals met. There are some very pertinent needs that must be met. Although there have been some obligation of funds that were included in this package, and in addition to this package, quite frankly, which is what's causing some concern. Because if my research is correct, the $1 trillion that was already approved is not a part of this package. So yeah, they're just arguing over how we're going to pay for it, which leads me to segue into some key things that contractors and businesses in general need to keep in mind. The IRS has asked for an increase in its budget for an uptick in audits. There is a concern that businesses are not paying their fair share of taxes. And while there are various laws in place to allow businesses to take advantage and mitigate their tax load, there are just companies that are not paying their fair share. It just is what it is. So I would suggest that you get in contact with a tax professional and you create a tax strategy for the next fiscal year. Get your books and records in order. I'm not saying they're going to audit you, but you should be prepared for an audit. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse for violating the law, and that has been thrown out time and time again. A non-compliance with record keeping, with IRS tax filings, is significant enough to close your door. It is significant enough to basically shutter your dreams permanently. Why do that when you can just lay out the strategies that you need to avoid that problem? So if you do not have a tax professional, get one. If you have unfiled, unpaid taxes within your business, I suggest you go ahead and file them and make some sort of arrangements with the IRS. They would rather you come to them than they have to find you. There are currently various forgiveness programs out there. And with the current COVID environment and a push in the initiative to stimulate and re-stimulate the economy, while they are looking for tax dodgers, they're not really seeking to penalize the honest average American. So just get your tax books and records in place, file those taxes and records. You want to have a good footing, a good leaning, especially if you're looking to take advantage of some of these SBA programs coming out. There's the economic in the I can't remember the acronym, but they've reopened the economic disaster loan that was reopened so that small businesses that were affected by COVID can take out loans. You cannot take advantage of that program if you have unpaid taxes. It is what it is. So, to that end, I would implore you to file the taxes. And with the changes that they made, there are some key changes they made to that program. You can actually use those funds to help pay back the tax bill that you owe, along with, payroll to get your people back to work and to pursue new work in the government. The Department of Labor will also be looking into doing a lot more audits. There has been an uptick in complaints made around non-compliances with companies miscategorizing employees. As much as people keep still passing this information around, it is false. An employee, you just can't 1099 people because that's what you want to do. There are tests out there, and I know if you go to the Department of Labor website, there are tests out there that allows you to determine if somebody is a W-2 employee versus a 1099 consultant contractor. And if that person is an W-2 employee, you must pay them as such. And if they are subject to overtime, they must be compensated. They're not salaried because you say they're salaried. There are also labor categories on the on the website that say these types of jobs are typically salaried and these types of jobs are typically hourly. So if there are just rules out there, and if you just can't circumvent the rules because you're trying to avoid certain regulations that you don't like, you're trying to, some people are trying to do good things for the right reasons, but they're going to end up having a disaster result. So, to that end, I say, when in doubt, reach out to an HR consultant. They can help you. If you cannot afford to hire one, there are several small businesses that offer HR consultancy work that can help you set up your HR plan, your hiring plan, help you with the labor categories and the like. That will keep you out of trouble when it comes to that. Labor miscategorizations are expensive and timely to repair. And the federal government, if you are a contractor found to be in noncompliance, will not, I repeat, will not bear the cost of those noncompliance. So the penalties and interest that you pay must be classified as an unallowable cost, not included in your rates. And if you did include them in your rates, they must be backed out, and any difference must be refunded to the government. It is what it is. Back to the government spending and government spending and the government priority. There's a huge push for modernization in the government that includes the IT infrastructure. Right now, the initiative is to do a across the board modernization. I used to be a contractor working in this federal space, so I am quite familiar with the fact they have a Frankenstein system, and they're looking to do this grand sweep. They're also looking to do a security update clear across the board. With that said, the adoption of the zero trust policy is going to trickle down and affect contractors. I know I spoke on this one before, but I will continue to speak on it until my community hears and acts on it. You should start looking into securing your system. I'm not talking about buying an off the shelf product. The DoD, GSA, and Homeland Security, well, it's primarily led by DoD, but GSA and Homeland Security have latched on to it, and the Veterans Administration as well. I believe it's the CMMI. I might have the acronym wrong. CMMI certification. My understanding is very costly, and I was I participated or sat in on a talk where they're trying to find some way to mitigate the cost for small businesses because it is a costly initiative to get that certification. What I'm going to tell you is you can redeem that cost as a general, most likely G&A cost applied as an indirect rate. There are ways to do it. There are rate specialists out there that can help you with that initiative. To that end, you should be looking at researching that and implementing that in your business, especially if you're looking to do work with GSA, Homeland Security, and any agency within the umbrella of the OD. You have 15 days until the next fiscal year. I'm not saying you have to implement within 15 days, but it should be on your radar. It should be something that's a part of your FY22 strategic plan. And with that said, I want to end this note with end this broadcast with I want to implore you as a contractor to understand the shifting times that we're in. What COVID should have taught us is that any major upheaval, and not just COVID, we currently have another storm system coming through the Gulf Coast area. We have parts of the U.S. ravaged by fire. We have part of the U.S. recovering from a hurricane. All of this should be a light bulb moment for business owners. We should have a disaster preparedness plan. We should have contingency plans. We should have standard operating procedures for the continuity of our business. We are in a pivot reset period. And those who can pivot and reset the quickest are those who will rebound and grow the most during this time. It just is what it is. I implore my community, I implore my listeners to take the next 15 days to create an action plan that includes the implementation of standard operating procedures if you do not have them, and to revisit the ones that you have if you do. Everybody should be doing a grand update of your system in order to ensure that you're in keeping with the latest in technology and the rules and regulations. We've had several FAR clauses that took place, starting 5 days ago, September 10th. Are your current rules and regulations and procedures in alignment with those current FAR clauses? We have a series of executive orders. I don't care which side of the political spectrum you're on that came out. We understand that there's disagreement or confusion around how they're going to play out, but do you have a plan either way? We're just living in a time of pivoting and open communication. Communication is going to be key to the success of your business. So I invite you to get on my calendar so that we can have a conversation around how I can help you in the FY 2022. We can build out this strategic plan. We can work on our training together. I have a training coming out before the RFP for those new in the space to help you get things in order before you start looking for your first contract. I have a training around decoding the RFP, how to even read the thing, let alone writing a response to it. Interesting. I have, no, I just got a news feed, a news that's interesting. Um, I have a 21-day virtual summit coming up November 1st. The sign up for it is going up by Friday. Should be up today, quite frankly, but it's going up by Friday. I implore you, you want to be a power partner in contracting, you're going to want to sign up for this 21-day summit. It is going to be spectacular. I'm going to be speaking. I'm bringing in some of my power partners to speak. You want to be there because what's going to take advantage and what's going to make the difference between somebody who's still operating, quite frankly, in mediocrity and somebody who is operating as a power partner in excellence is the application and implementation of the information. It is time we stop acting and researching in the Twitter sphere where we're looking for soundbite information and we start implementing what we know. And with that, I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. as I bring you another edition of the LT&A Chatter Project. Have a great day, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow.